right, folks, welcome to week 3 of the Laemmle League Redux podcast. And here's your commissioner, Eric Patton.
Yeah, Mike D. Good to be back here with you, my friend. It's another exciting week in the NFL. You got any overall thoughts on the week?
There was a lot of good games. Buffalo, Miami was awesome. Loved watching that. Saquon on Monday night, I knew would show up for me. Jaguars crushing my Chargers.
Jaguars, America's team, man.
Yeah.
What a great start for the Jags.
I do like the Jaguar. I knew they would be okay once they had a real coach. Who else?
This has got to make. I mean, Urban Meyer looking real bad right now, right? This is like a Jeff Fisher in LA situation, right? As soon as he's out the door, the team just completely begins overperforming.
It's like I guess you can't have a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach at the same time because you don't know what's going on, and he didn't hire people around him to help him out, like to tell him what to do and how to act. And he was just he was crazy, but he's more of a college guy, obviously. But you can see the difference in Lawrence, picking up. He's quicker and he's understanding the game more because he has a coach, and probably you learn from Hard Knocks where Campbell has all ex-players around him, so
love it.
People trust, and you've been there before. Show me how to do it.
Guys are going to listen to those dudes, no doubt. As soon as I didn't know Deuce Staley was the OC in Detroit until I started watching Hard Knocks, and that's actually one of the main reasons that I fell in love with DeAndre Swift and drafted him in the first round of 2 different leagues. I just felt like what a great coach to have. Another surprise. I guess only 1 and 2, so it's hard to call them a big. It's not like they're making too much noise, but they're making a lot of noise with their scores. That's for sure. A lot of points in Detroit.
They're in every game. They're not out, and I would say that you think about whatever you want about Jared Goff, he looks like he's comfortable. He doesn't look like he's scared, so it looks like he's just comfortable.
He does. He does. He's doing what he's got to do. He's managing the game.
Yeah.
Surprising that their defense is letting them down so much. You would think that might have been one of the strong points, just because of their DNA, because of the grit, man, and obviously the rookie Hutchinson. But how much?
That guy's crazy. That guy's insane.
Yeah, he is.
Just keeps going and going and going and going.
He's got some incredibly attractive female family members too. I wondered all through Hard Knocks, man. They would show him, and his sisters are absolutely gorgeous. His mom is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And like you wonder if his teammates were just killing him off camera for that.
Yeah, there was a couple incidences where when he was playing his first game, and then they're like, when people started, he got his first sack, and he was, and everyone started going crazy, and they were looking around, kind of like, "Oh, he's actually kind of good. Wow, he's going to be famous. Wow, he's going to make a lot of money." And it was true. It's true. All of it's true. He's got it. He's got all of it.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the week that was in the Laemmle League, Mike D. And I'm going to go ahead and selfishly put myself in the game of the week.
Right.
And I think we should begin there because I'm upset, man. I'm very upset, Mike D. I put up a very respectable 112.92 points, good enough for the second highest points in the league. I happen to be playing the guy with the highest points in the league. Total kick in the ass from the fantasy football gods.
I was following it. I was following your matchup. I thought you had it.
It's not fair, man. It's not fair at all. I didn't. I definitely did not think I had it. As I've mentioned before in this program, I like to not look at the scores of the games just because I like to not know who my opponents are, because I watch Red Zone, and if someone's blowing up against me, I don't want it to ruin my day.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was doing pretty well with Mark Andrews having a nice day. He had 24.9 for me, but everyone else was just sort of mediocre. I felt like Mike Williams right away, first play of the game, not first play, but his first big play, he catches a 15-yard touchdown. That was early. I'm thinking, all right, here we go, big day for Big Mike, but it was not meant to be, man.
No, and then you had when was that? It was it the late game? Because you were ahead, and then I saw him come back. Who was it? Because Jefferson didn't have a good game.
Jefferson didn't do much. Lamar Jackson lit me up. I mean, he had
Yeah,
Lamar's 5 total touchdowns.
that guy's
Lamar is like, I don't know the exact numbers, but I heard a stat the other day. If you took away all his rushing yardage, he's still like a top 5 or 6 quarterback in fantasy. And if you took away all his passing totals, he's like a top 5 running back in fantasy. It's just absurd what he's doing right now.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It is, and again, that's why I'm glad I didn't know I was playing against him, because I just kept seeing him. And having Andrews, I'm like, yeah, this is great, and I can celebrate it. But had I known, it would have been just a little less sweet. So I'm glad I didn't know. Yeah, he got nothing from Justin Jefferson 2 weeks in a row where JJ's been shut down. What do you think's happening over there?
Coverage. I think they're just gonna. I would let Thielen. I think Thielen did have a good game. Yeah, I would
Well,
let
he was
the
on
other
my
guys.
bench, so yeah, he is 6 for 61 on a touchdown. Not bad.
Yeah, let the other guys figure it out. But also, I don't know. Maybe Kirk Cousins has come back down to earth.
He is Kirk Cousins. That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's not untrue. Nick Chubb chips in. Is he still the RB1? He is. Running back number 1 in a half PPR league, no less. And for a guy who doesn't catch any passes, that's impressive. That just goes to show you how much they're leaning on him and how much he's responding.
And I think you got. I can't remember when. I didn't realize that Swift was hurt. I felt like they talked about that a little later, because I saw Williams score the touchdown, and I was like, oh, where's Swift? What's going
So
on?
all week, I'm tracking this all week, because the previous week DeAndre was questionable, and he ended up going, and I sat him even though he was playing, and he had a big game, not a huge volume day, didn't get a ton of touches, but did a lot with them, scored a lot of points for me, all on my bench, of course. So I thought, I followed him closely this week, and all the reports were that he was doing even better this week than he was the previous week. And so I figured, all right, here we go. Let's ride,
Yeah.
and let's ride, baby. And so I put him in. I went with him. And the real kick in the ass, like, this was bad enough because I have Jamal Williams on my bench, and he's going off on my bench, and I'm getting nothing from DeAndre. Even worse was another league I'm in where I've also got DeAndre, but I was playing against Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
So, Campbell's got this thing about the red zone, man. He really likes Jamal in the red zone, even in the opening game of the season when DeAndre was healthy. Jamal Williams was the guy getting the goal line carries. So maybe Campbell's got Jamal rostered on his fantasy team, but anytime they sniff that end zone, it's the Jamal Williams show.
Yeah.
Maybe Campbell just likes Jamal's end zone dance where he raises his arms, does the hips. Got the penalty flag for it this time. One too many thrusts, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember the commentators. Yes, yeah.
I think one of them actually said that. He's like, oh, I think there's one too many thrusts there from Jamal.
Because the previous night I watched Elvis. And that I was like, they're still doing that in too many pelvic thrusts is getting them a fine in 2022.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess I can't complain too much about the 23 points from Jamal Williams on my bench when Apted had 29 from Khalil Herbert on his bench.
Yeah.
So, my number could have been bigger, but so could his. But he didn't need his number to be any bigger because with 124.92, John back-to-back Apted is our high points winner for the week.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
Is this difficult for you, Mike D, to relinquish that the crown you wore?
It
for
was.
two
I did. I'll be honest. I kept track of it, and I was upset with. I was upset with. I knew Barkley would come on for me at the end, but yeah, there was a few. If I can bring it up, yeah, I changed my name.
Let's segue into your matchup with Chris.
Yeah, Waller disappointed me a little bit, and Mixon, which I last week my name was I'm into the name change a lot, so I was into it was Meet Joe Mixon, and of course he did not live up to the title.
Well, that's an interesting interesting point you bring up, because I'm a bit leery myself sometimes when I name the team after a guy, if that's just too much pressure for him and he's not going to perform that week. So I worry about that myself.
So I have hopefully Barkley steps up with the wrath of Quan. The wrath of Quan Barkley.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that a lot. Yeah, he stepped up for you last night. Where does he check in these days? At RB2? Yeah, RB2.
Yeah.
Didn't give you what you needed per se, but I mean, hey, 81 yards and a touchdown. What did he probably caught a couple passes as well? Pulling it up. Yeah, 4 catches for 45. He looks great, man.
Yeah, I was he to me he's back. So I'm excited that he can now like rip off those. Like I wasn't worried because I know the first game was, I think it was the fourth quarter when he ripped off that long run. I was like, he's just waiting. He's gonna find a hole and he's just gonna take off and it's gonna be done.
Right so at the sideline, man. I jumped right off my couch when I saw that.
Yeah.
You know,
Manning cast.
So you got you got 20.6 from Barkley, you got 13 from Waddle. You know, that's his floor, man. You're happy. Christian Kirk continuing to completely overperform his draft status. You drafted Christian Kirk with the 106th pick in the league. That's right. My goodness, that's the 10th round you got this kid, and he is currently the number 6 wide receiver in fantasy football.
Yeah, I did my research on him. He spoke. He let people know that he was taking a back seat in Arizona, and he was fine with that. But when his contract was up, said he would show everyone what he can do, and he's done it from the first 3 weeks. He's lived up to what he said. He's like, I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah,
I love it.
He is definitely Lawrence's guy. 9 targets in this last week. Yeah, that's a big time pick for you. That guy. Every year there are guys who are common players to end up on championship rosters, and he feels like one of those guys. Whether it works out for you or not, we'll see. Yeah. But he feels like one of those guys that's going to be on a lot of championship rosters this season.
No, I agree. Also, I had in a couple leagues I had the Chargers. For some reason, I overlooked the Jags, and I got negative points in a couple leagues with the Chargers.
That's a tough one because you're a Charger fan, so it's twice this thing, I would think.
I was when Bosa went down, I was like, oh, there's gonna be trouble. Then the right tackle went down, and I was just I have Eckler in another league, but I guess I'm trying to figure out why they're not running the hell out of Eckler, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to always get enough work in the passing game to give him a nice little floor, but it's been a struggle for Austin Eckler. I think he's about RB20 right now.
Yeah,
which is tough considering where he was drafted.
Hasn't scored a touchdown at all.
Is that right? He hasn't been in the end zone yet. Okay.
Not in the end zone.
That whole Charger offense is stalling a little bit. Keenan goes down, Herbert gets hurt. Ripple effects.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, Team Fan Mediocre performance from Kyler, certainly for his standards. The Rams always play him tough. Najee is getting volume, but he's not working with much of a line.
No.
It doesn't seem like. He's catching a few passes here and there, but it's been tough sledding for Najee so far. What else have we got over here? Deebo Samuel, I think he's got as many rushes this season as he does receptions so far, which is very cool. But I would think you want a few more receptions if I'm team fan, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's that San Francisco game was interesting. This was the Pittsburgh game, and who did he have with and T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked T this season a lot, man. I really did. I thought he finished real strong until the second half of last year. And I really thought that like teams were going to come into this season like queuing on Jamar Chase so much that it was going to leave T. Higgins with a lot of one-on-ones and a lot of opportunities. And he started off the season with an injury, and I don't know if you saw the hit he took, but he got just absolutely belted in week 2.
Yeah.
And came back, bounced back with a nice game this week. 5 receptions for 93 yards. Didn't find the end zone, but he's getting targets. There seems to be plenty of work to go around in that Cincinnati air attack.
Yeah, and they're coming. They're 1-2, so they're shaking off the cobwebs. I think again,
Do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's just a slow start for them and they right the ship?
I've been hearing or listening to several different takes on what's going on with the collective bargaining, where they're saying that they're not really practicing, and it's taking, some guys are getting hurt, some guys are taking till week 3 to really get into it.
Okay.
So, and I know, it wasn't his fault. He had an appendectomy, but week 3, Joe's figuring it out and going, but he's taking a lot of hits, and he's holding the ball too long. I see a lot of people holding the ball way too long. A couple quarterbacks this weekend are just like, 1, 2, 3, and that's why I like watching the Manning cast. It's just like watching the brothers freak out, like, throw the ball, holding it too long.
Yeah.
Look left, look right.
I like it. Peyton Manning, I see he's sort of like heading up all the changes that are happening to the Pro Bowl now. His production company, Omaha Productions or whatever, is going to be in charge of a lot. He just seems to be transitioning into the face and
Oh, that's cool.
not the commissioner, the guy who's really in charge of the NFL.
The fun times. I mean, I watched the Chad Powers with Eli. If you have not seen that, gotta take a look. It's pretty funny. Because I didn't. Peyton had a Chad Powers T-shirt on, and if you don't know anything about it, Eli, and there's a couple different places, a couple different people that do it. They go back to they go to a college and they put on Hollywood makeup, and they try out for the team. And Eli went as Chad Powers. He looked like McConaughey and Dazed and Confused.
I saw the wig. I saw a picture with him in a wig.
Yeah, he committed to the role. He talked in the third person. He was pumped up, but you could tell some people were like, "Oh, this guy can throw. This guy's hitting targets. He's throwing darts." But it was awesome. He used a different voice. You wouldn't know it was Eli at all.
Awesome.
But
where is
check it out.
You know where that lives? Is that on ESPN Plus or something?
It's on ESPN Plus, but you can watch it on YouTube. Just do Chad Powers.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the Kleppinger Bowl, the matchup between Country Roads Take Mahomes and Team CT. This is Caitlin versus Christy Kleppinger. The Kleppinger Bowl has been a tradition in the Laemmle League for years. We were robbed of it last season when Christy took her hiatus from the league. But big moment getting the Kleppinger Bowl back this season. And the first matchup goes to Team CT. as Christie takes it 109-91. Now, Mike D, as I've told you before, you're new to the league, so we're sort of letting you know about the history of the Laemmle League. Both Cleppinger sisters are definitely legends of the league. They have a lot of success. They're both title winners, champions in this league,
nice.
which is saying something. But it was a rough week for them the week before last. I think they combined for about 100 points 2 weeks ago, maybe 110 points or so. So it's good to see them both shake the rust off going into the big matchup this week. It's good when your fantasy players live up to the moment. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
So Christie was anchored with Hollywood Brown, 14 receptions and 140 yards. He scores 21 fantasy points for Christie despite not even getting in the end zone. That's how big of a day he had.
That's crazy. Oh yeah, that's right. Green, AJ Green got hurt, and then they don't really have anybody right now.
And what about Dortch, man? You can't forget
Dortch. Yeah, that's true.
You look the wrong way, you're gonna get Dorched. You're not even realizing it. But he might be a nice waiver wire pickup this week, actually.
Yeah.
Considering that, I don't know if AJ is going to keep missing time. Not that AJ was much of a target monster anyway.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, I thought he'd be sort of dominating the targets in the first 2 weeks. He really wasn't, but he definitely broke out in week 3.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Carr Adams college bro fest in Arizona, because I believe Brown and Kyler went. They played together in college.
They did, yeah. They went to Oklahoma together, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of Devontae, yeah, he got another 10 targets this week. Only turned into 5 receptions for 36 yards. Did find the end zone, though, which was big time, and gave Christie 11.7 when it was all said and done. Sounds like he's a little frustrated with the early going in Vegas.
I will say this, that I'm a big radio. I listen to sports talk radio constantly, and I interact with them. Maggie and Perloff being from the Dan Patrick Show, has his own show. They were talking about that, and they were trying to say it was on Derek Carr, and I don't believe. I think the Colts got lucky in 2018 for not having Josh McDaniels as their head coach. Again, I think he's a good coordinator, but I don't think he's a good head coach, in my opinion. And I don't know anything about football. I have no idea. I just say things because
happen a lot. And it's another Belichick guy, man. All these Belichick disciples from the Belichick coaching tree not having any success in the pros.
No, the Shanahan, yeah. You see the Shanahan of the elder Shanahan tree and Gruden tree. Those guys are doing. Mike McDaniels, who I have a good. I think he's Beavis from Beavis and Butthead, but he's the way he talks. And but yeah, I don't know. 0-3, it's not good. That whole talking up the that division. I think they're 5-7. So the Chargers are losing, the Chiefs are losing, but we'll see what happens.
So Christie didn't get much from the GOAT. Brady only turned in 14.74. Dalvin Cook went out, I think, with a shoulder injury at some point in the game. It sounds like he's day-to-day at this point, but before he did, he turned in 96 yards and a touchdown. So that was something. Now, Christie does something that's interesting to me. She goes with teammates in 2 occasions here. She goes with Josh Jacobs and Devontae, and then she also goes with Hollywood Brown and Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on teammates on your roster, Mike D? I mean, I love a quarterback receiver stack. Don't get me wrong. But outside of that, if you're talking about like a receiver and a tight end, or a receiver and a running back, that starts to worry me a bit. I feel like you need your team to score a lot of points then if they're both going to perform for you.
Yeah, and I don't like to have too many for bye weeks, but I can't say that this is not, 12, 11, 21, and 7 for your tight end. I can't say that that's not, that seems like it's fine right there. But
It
then you got to
does.
make a decision on your bye week to throw some people in. But
I guess my thing with it is like sometimes you're just going to run into an elite defense on the other side of the ball, and they're going to shut down the entire offense.
yeah,
Sometimes you're going to run into a monsoon or a snowstorm. You're going to just run in 3 or 4 or 5 times a season. You're just going to run into something that makes the entire offense stall. And I
yeah,
think in that case, you're in a lot of trouble if all your eggs are in the same basket.
yeah. And
Um,
I only like to run, like you said, with the if it's a quarterback and then receiver or running back that catches passes, you always have that
Love that.
chance.
Love
And
the
now
set.
that little toss that they have now is really kind of
That
a
little
that counts
that
as a pass. I'm
thing
fine with that.
on the jet sweep coming
Yeah,
across and then
yeah,
just kind of pop it. That's great.
counts as a
I love
pass.
that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Uh,
Um, but hey, I'm not going to criticize Christy. Her team got it done this week, 109 points. On the other side of the ball, her sister puts up only 91 points as Caitlin gets a pedestrian performance from Patrick to keep the alliteration going there.
yeah.
Mahomes only gives her 17.8, not a big number. Cam Akers returns to being the focus of the backfield in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Only results in 10 points this week for the treasurer. Jamar Chase, looking kind of normal last couple weeks. What do you see over there, Mike? Do you think this is an aberration? He gets back to that elite status?
Yeah, I think it's an aberration for that game. They're going to have more opportunities, and that was a weird game. It was up and down, and then they finally got it going, and
Yeah.
you got Flacco, and you get your starter back in Wilson next week. So it's always weird to respond knowing like, okay, you're not gonna be there next week. We're gonna go with the kid, but the
Right.
defense needs to step up, and like I said, you're gonna have one of those. You're gonna have one of those games, but it's different. Like now, people are saying like Waddle and Hill are just gonna switch off being the number one, but Chase should be the number one every game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, from there, DK turned in a nice little day for her. 5 receptions, 64 and a touchdown. You'll take that. Kamara, I don't know if he's hurt. He's not. He doesn't look like himself. He's not catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. It's just not. It's not happening for Alvin right now.
Yeah, new coaches, new. I don't want to say it's a new system. It seems like it's the. This is like the Todd Bowles and his last name's Allen. Forgive me, I can't remember the Saints' new head coach, but they're
Yeah,
both
I don't know whether.
didn't maybe it's Dennis Allen. They come
We're
from they're
gonna go with
defensive coordinators. So I don't know. Um,
It's not
like
Sean Payton, that's for sure.
no, no. And I know Todd Bowles is letting the other guys call the plays, and he's just being the head coach. And
Yeah.
I don't know what Dennis Allen's doing, but it seems not to be. Um, they seem out of whack, and Ingram. I know, Ingram got in the end zone there. I think he's probably banged up. I'm gonna go with being banged up.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, NFL running back, he's been a workhorse for a few seasons now. That can't last too long.
Yeah,
Sure, Treasurer Kleppinger would have liked to have the 19.6 from Amari Cooper, who went for 101 yards and a touchdown. But even that would not have been enough to make a difference in the final score. Would have made it very close, but not quite. Not quite. So it was Christie taking the Kleppinger Bowl this season. And I want to know, like, are they watching together? Christy, Caitlin, are you watching the games together? Are you arguing back and forth during these matchups, or are you just sort of indifferent to it? Do you check the scores at the end of the day? What goes on in the Kleppinger family during a Kleppinger Bowl? I wish the two of you would have joined us today on the podcast, and we could have talked about it.
Yeah, is there snacks? Is there a platter? Is it a thing? I want to know.
There could very well be. Caitlin is quite the baker.
Okay.
We had a couple in-person draft parties in the early days of my involvement, at least with the Laemmle League. And Caitlin would bring snickerdoodles, and throughout the season, she would often bribe me with baked goods. Yeah, so it's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. Let us know, Kleppingers. Even if you're not on the podcast, that's fine. Let us know in the email, perhaps, because we want to know. We're all very curious.
Yeah.
Let's go now from the Kleppinger Bowl to, frankly, my friends, what we have to consider the Toilet Bowl matchup of this week, because it was the matchup of not only two 0-2 teams, but the two 0-2 teams were the two teams that picked first and second in this year's draft, and they're two, consistently well-performing teams in the history of the Laemmle League. So this is astonishing that Team Parker and Justin's team, the Boondock Amon-Ra Saints, great team name, Justin. Yeah. It's stunning that these two teams are winless so far, Mike D. It's stunning.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Aaron.
Parker is a champion. Parker is a Laemmle League champion. Justin is thought by many to be one of the best Laemmle League players to never win a championship. But yeah, let's see how it went this week. Justin, Glamour Russ didn't really come through for him so much. 184 yards, and that's it, man. No touchdowns for him, no rushing yards, 9.6 yards for Let's Ride.
Yeah, let's ride. And he responded to Eli's comment. They had Pat McAfee on, and Eli said they should have given they had to punt. The Broncos had to punt. He said Eli just casually said they should have given that $260 million to the punter. So you're just going to be punting all the time.
Eli's the wild card, man. Eli is the money on that. He's underrated, but he's the guy on that broadcast.
No, I love it. And then Russ responded today with saying that he's 3-0 against Chad Powers, and he's not worried about it, which was different. Kind of that's not the kind of robotic response I thought from Russ. I thought it was a good comeback.
Yeah, whichever one of his publicists wrote it for him did a good job.
Oh, Russ.
Oh, Glamour Russ.
But yeah, you got the number one pick, Jonathan Taylor.
71 yards, man. They held him in check. Was he? I don't know if is he catching passes? He's getting 5 targets. Matt Ryan is. Look, they got the win, so I guess we can only say so much. But Matt Ryan's not exactly. He's an upgrade probably from Carson.
Yeah.
Right. Overall, Wentz sort of set the world on fire in those first 2 weeks for himself, but then he sort of returned to Carson Wentz in week 3.
Yeah, Carson came back.
But Jonathan Taylor, man, it's probably just an aberration, because a lot of times, they won't abandon the run either. It's not like a game script thing.
Yeah.
Even if they get down, they're going to keep running the ball in Indy. So just didn't happen for him this week. Javonte, this sort of goes back to my leeriness about teammates. It's just San Francisco. There are some weird matchups where they're just usually low scoring, and the Niners, Niners and Seahawks, Niners and Rams are always just kind of low scoring games, and maybe the Broncos will be part of that tradition too.
Yep, I agree. At least Hackett got a clock management guy, 60-year-old guy, to go into the booth.
That's great. That's great. They kept cutting to him in the booth, and they're trying to be. I Hackett dude's probably a nice guy. Everybody seems to be sort of tiptoeing around, like trashing him or whatever. But they'd cut to them in the booth, and the announcers would be like, "Oh, that's the guy who's in charge of timeouts or whatever." They didn't really know what to say.
No, I know. I mean, it's kind of disappointing. You get it. I think it's just because you were named the head coach. You did the big trade in the off season. You spent time together. You put together something, and then where's someone saying, "Hey, this isn't working out. You got to do this. You got to do that. This is what it's going to be like when the season starts. This is what you're going to have to think of." And apparently, no one told anybody that. And then, oh, okay, we should have the I'll go back to it because I think you should. I don't know why anybody would watch the regular broadcast, but Peyton would always say it's the most annoying if you hear in your ear and they don't know what's going on. Peyton's at a stature is like, I'll just do it myself. I'll call the play myself if you guys can't figure out what the hell's going on.
Well, and I've heard more than one talking head on ESPN ask why Russell isn't making those decisions.
Exactly. Maybe Pete Carroll knew something.
But my weekly mandate for Russell Wilson hate has been met. I feel like I've met my quota, and I can move on now. The sun god did not give Justin a huge day. We talked about this, Mike D. Sometimes when you name the team after one of your players, it puts a lot of pressure on that guy to perform. And maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown was just feeling the pressure this week and didn't come through.
He did. He, I believe, has a high ankle sprain.
Oh, does he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he did get hurt. That's why I think Reynolds stepped up during the game, but he tried to play through it. But he's questionable to play this week, but he played through it. But I think that's as good as he can get is 10.13 or 10.3 for on a bad wheel.
Hey, my guess is he'll just lift weights with it all week until it's back to 100%. That guy's awesome. A workout warrior.
Yeah.
As we all know, any of us who watched Hard Knocks, of course. CeeDee Lamb puts up a nice number for Justin. That's got to be good to see. For JK.
I'll say, looking at the score, 90 to 97, probably should have been 96-86. With that drop by CeeDee Lamb, wide open, just it almost looked like he didn't want to catch it. And it
was it a touchdown? I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, he would have if he would have caught it in stride, boom, he would have gone in straight into the end zone. But I don't know. Yeah.
So that
the offensive coordinator gave the thumbs up, like, okay, my bad. But it was just like
you love when they do that, right?
Yeah, I would be frustrated. That would have killed me because that would have been that score would have been closer.
Well, yeah, I mean, plus you're getting the half point for the catch and the yardage and everything else. That made
actually, you know what? Yeah, if that was a touchdown, that would have put you over the top. Sorry, Justin.
He did make one of the better catches, maybe the second best catch of the week on his touchdown reception.
True.
Behind only George Pickens.
Yeah,
with the Beckham, he was absolutely horizontal when he made him. The one hand is great. One-handed catch, that's incredible. He was absolutely horizontal when he made that catch.
That was awesome.
It was just awesome. Incredible. So that's what happened for Justin's side. And on the other side of the ball, Team Parker got the big day from MVP, not front runner because that's got to be Lamar. But maybe the next in line at this point of the season has got to be Jalen Hurts.
Agreed.
And he had another big day, 340 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Let's see how much rushing yardage he gave Parker. Gave him another 20 yards, not much, but something. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to run it. That's probably the biggest. I mean, what a great takeaway from this. He can only give you 20 rushing yards and still put up 27.6 fantasy points because he's there with his arm now.
Yep. He has 3 legit, and Dallas Goedert, Brown, and Smith, 3 legitimate guys that can just catch the ball wherever you put it.
Big day for Devontae. I'm not sure who rosters Devontae in our league, but I'm guessing that he was on their bench this week. Huge day for Devontae Adams. As an AJ Brown owner myself, whatever. Good for him. I would have liked to see more of those targets go to AJ because I'm selfish. But Devontae is so talented, and he was non-existent the first couple of weeks, so he was going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
Every season, Mike D, for the last 3 or 4 years, all the experts, we all write off. I'm not one of the experts, but I join them in writing off James Robinson and saying, he's not the guy. Oh, last season was a fluke. He's not. He's being replaced with someone better, and it's not going to. And every year, he just turns in top 5 fantasy football performances. It's unreal. He's currently the RB3. He was drafted 99th by Parker.
Oh, wow.
Which actually surprised me. I wouldn't have been stunned if he had been undrafted.
Yeah.
But good foresight by Parker to make that pick because he's paying off, man.
Yeah, he's coming. He's healthy and it's probably inspired. You know what? I saw an interview with him last year, and he was kind of questioning, like, hey, the coach took you out in the third quarter and you were rolling. What's up with that? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know why he would do that. So maybe he's being used properly, and he's probably excited, like, oh, hey, you know how to use both of us, and we're gonna roll. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, man. That Jags team is fun right now, and he's sort of driving the bus. Obviously, Trevor's doing well. We talked about Christian Kirk earlier, but he's been sort of an anchor for them this season.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of anchors, Matthew Stafford's best friend in the world, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Very, very pedestrian performance this week for Cooper. Only saw 6 targets.
Yeah.
He usually gets that in a quarter.
I don't know what's going on with the Rams.
So he did get his first career rushing touchdown, which salvaged what would have otherwise been a pretty low-scoring day for him.
Yeah.
A 20 to 12 game, you think there'd be that's enough offense to usually support him having a big day, but not this week.
No, I think they ran the ball with Akers and Henderson, and maybe they are taking it easy. Maybe Stafford's elbow's not 100%, so they're doing what they can to hand the ball off. And I dropped Allen Robinson. So he's not throwing, he's not spreading the ball, he's not peppering the ball around like he did last year.
I think there's a problem with Stafford and Robinson. Like, I feel like, in week 1, it was all Cooper Kupp. And then in week 2, there seemed to be like a concerted effort to get targets to James Robinson. He seemed to force it to James Robinson in week 2. And sometimes, they'll cut to, it'll be an incomplete pass and they'll cut to the quarterback. And you can see him he should have gone this way, or why didn't he do that? And I see that a lot after incompletions to Allen Robinson, man. They just don't seem to be on the same page.
No, and I guess it justifies his Chicago days too. So maybe it's not the quarterback. Maybe it's Allen Robinson. Yeah, I had to let him go.
Yeah. Michael Pittman coming along slow this season. He was sort of an off-season darling. A lot of people feel like he's a top 5, top 10 guy this season. Had a big week 1, sat out week 2, returned to Parker's lineup in week 3 for 8 catches and 72 yards.
Yeah.
He seems like the real deal, but it's Phillip Rivers, and then it's Carson Wentz, and now it's Matt Ryan, and I don't know if any of these guys are gonna be good enough to take him to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. They're not besides Phillip. I guess you could still throw a dart, but the other guys were like, they're not good for receivers.
No.
Jonathan Taylor carried that team last year. But we'll see. You know, he's healthy. If he's healthy for week 4, we'll see what those numbers show.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good thing Parker got the big number from Jalen, because the rest of his team, the bottom half of his lineup let him down here. Gabe Davis in the flex, only 3 catches for 37 yards, another fantasy darling in the offseason. Had an amazing first game and sat out game 2. So that's that. And maybe he's still working back from whatever the injury is. And, Buffalo is such a potent offense. It's like, okay, we can't use you. We'll use any one of these other guys that we got.
Yeah, it was an interesting watch. Kind of reminded me a little bit of early Josh Allen career wise. It seemed like he just was so excited and so like pumped up. He wasn't going through his progressions and getting his feet planted and throwing that. I mean, that last play, that was a touchdown to McKenzie. Easy. That's why that offensive coordinator went crazy and threw shit, and it was just great. Because it was an easy. He threw it in front. He threw it on the ground.
It's like a pitcher in baseball throwing a 54-footer on like a curveball in the dirt, man.
He knew it as soon as he's just like, oh my God. And then just like, if he just would have taken his time, threw a dart, that's a touchdown right there. So
it is. That offensive coordinator freaking out in the booth was my favorite moment of the week, I think.
I agree. That was awesome. I would have done the same thing.
So Parker gets the win and gets off the schneid. No longer a winless team. Parker goes to 1-2, while Justin drops to 0-3. We'll see if Justin can right the ship next week and get on the board. Our last matchup of the week features Team Jones versus Penny Given Sunday.
Nice, Grant.
Nice team name from Grant. Unfortunately, his players were not up to the level of his team name. His guys did not perform for him this week. Kirk Cousins gave him 18. It's not terrible.
No.
But unfortunately, that was the high water point for Grant's team. David Montgomery gets hurt and goes out early. Not that we knew about that. Austin Eckler, as we talked about earlier, does not look like Austin Eckler in the early going of the season. 4 rushes for 5 yards.
Yeah.
Did catch 8 passes, which helps him give him that nice fantasy floor. But what's going on with Austin Eckler and your Chargers, Mike D?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to keep him. I think their concept is they're trying to keep him healthy for the postseason, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not what you didn't even get to the postseason last year. So let's get to the postseason.
Yeah.
With him. Let him.
Is it Josh Kelly getting?
That's what I'm saying. Is like there's not somebody that's better than him or is getting more plays. It's Josh Kelly and Sony Michelle. Oh, right. But they're not doing anything. They're just not running it like they used to. Like they're just not throwing it down and riding off Eckler had 30 touchdowns last year. They're not using him in the red zone.
Man. Just absurd.
It's and someone pointed out, like, hey, Brandon Staley hasn't been around that long. He's not like he didn't come from. He just came out of McVay's tree,
right,
and showed up and had this different way of he's not going for it on 4th downs like he was last year. And I was at a game where he did. My first trip to SoFi, and I was completely pissed off because they could have won that game, but he decided to go for it on 4th down on 4 occasions instead of kicking the field goal. But I don't know. They need to figure out injury bugs. You can't do anything about that. But give the ball to Austin.
Yeah, man. That's what Grant must be screaming. Give the ball to Austin, his number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, his number 2, I think probably his number 2 pick. is performing like you would hope him to. The number one wide receiver didn't have a huge day for him on Sunday. Miami looked good, man. They played Buffalo well. It was, everybody's cramping up from the humidity, checking out and just pounding Gatorade and getting stretched on the sideline. But so who knows how fair of an evaluation it is? But Miami looked good.
Yeah, fun game to watch.
It was a fun game to watch. Yeah, they were slugging it out for sure. Juju caught 5 passes for 89. Didn't find the end zone. And veterans of this league will know that I would prefer we go to a full point instead of a half point PPR. And my argument being that touchdowns in fantasy football are just far too overloaded. They weigh too much. You get too many points for them.
Yeah.
You can pop off a 50-yard run that brings you, but you get tackled at the goal line. Then someone else comes in for you and crosses the goal line with a 1-yard touchdown, and they score more points than you did. Than that guy did. It just seems wrong. Juju had a good day, 5 receptions and 89 yards, but didn't find the end zone, so it didn't put him over.
Yeah.
Where do you land on that? Do you like the half point, or are you a full point guy?
I like full point. I'm in a lot of half point leagues, and the same frustration with you as that. It's like it's a lot of times, especially if they get right in front, then you're just like, oh, give them the ball. Luckily, Lamar has been rewarding like Andrews. Like, you got us there. I'm going to give it to you again. So don't worry about it.
You see that with some of the, real long time coming in. Like, I feel like Josh Allen forces it into Diggs a lot to get him touchdowns, and Lamar will look for Andrews, Mahomes will go to Kelsey.
Oh yeah.
And they reward those guys, and it's a security blanket. They trust them. Why wouldn't you trust Travis Kelsey and Mark Andrews at the goal line? You'd like to trust, George Kittle, but you can't so far, man. This season, 4 receptions for 28 yards. A lot of people thought Trey Lance going out and Jimmy coming in was going to be really good for Kittle. Maybe it will be eventually. Not this week.
No, George Kittle first game back, not 10 to 11 game. That's is not probably not what type of football game he wants to play, but
no.
They got to get settled in.
That matter.
Yeah, they got to get settled in. They did bring up a lot during that game that Garoppolo was not given a playbook. He was not given anything. He was just kind of sat off to the side, and he's kind of got to get up to speed and figure it out. And
that's right. That's true. That's very true. So
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We'll give him some time to figure that out. Oh, okay, I'm all right with that. So then on the other side of the ball, Team Jones gets a big day from King Henry. Big for mortals. Decent for Derrick Henry. He goes for 85 yards and a touchdown. He must have caught some passes too. Then 5 for 80 for 58 yards.
Yeah.
He's catching a lot more passes than he has. He was doing that a little bit last season too before he got hurt. But that seems to be a pretty new thing in the last 2 years.
Yeah, you gotta be a dual, especially if you're the guy that you want to play more than 3 downs and sub out for the pass catching guy, because you're going to throw it on 3rd down, 3rd and long, or 3rd and whatever. He's so I guess he had to adapt to that. So I'm glad. That was a weird game, but I thought they were going to lose it, and then Derek Carr became, like I said, that's dysfunctional. Whatever's going on there.
Yeah, something's missing in Oakland. It's not what a lot of people were expecting with all the talent that is assembled over there.
Yeah.
Lombardi Lenny, Fournette goes to Green Bay. Doesn't do a lot, 35 yards for 9.5 fantasy points in the loss to the Cheeseheads. Tyreek Hill vanished.
Yeah.
2 receptions for 33 yards. Where'd Tyreek go, Mike D?
I think that was a product of Tua going down, and probably they say it's his back. I'll believe it's his back, but maybe he just wasn't all there.
And you watch him get up and sort of like, you know, and the back stuff. This is, one of my favorite, stories of the week here so far is them talking. No, it's his back. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's his back and his ankle. Didn't look that way to me, man. It looked like a guy clearing the cobwebs, had his bell rung, whatever euphemism you want to use.
Yeah.
I look like a man whose head was hurting him.
We'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow. If he doesn't play, it probably was his head.
Oh, that's right. They're the Thursday game this week.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And I don't know who their backup is, but if whoever it is, I like the under.
Yeah. I think it's the rookie. If I'm not mistaken.
They drafted really?
And they didn't want to cut him because they thought somebody else would pick him up. So
okay.
He had good chemistry with the receivers, but it's his game time, so we'll see.
That could be another Thursday night classic, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tyreek only gives Team Jones 4.3. He gets 6 catches and 102 from Scary Terry. That's all right. He should be happy about that because Scary Terry McLaurin had 102 yards. So what did Wentz throw for? 110 yards?
Yeah.
Like what did Terry got? Must have gotten about 90% of the offense for Washington, man.
I like him, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see the rookie Howell later on in the coming down, because everyone knows what you get with Carson Wentz. So
you don't. I mean, first 2 weeks, fantasy wise, he's like a top 3 guy. Certainly top
MVP. Yeah,
exactly. Deontay Johnson gives Kurt 12.4.
Yeah.
Graham Gano chips in 14. I mean, Graham Gano was his third leading scorer from the kicker. Graham Gano's having a huge year, actually. He's got to be the number 1, right? He's the number 2. He's putting up a couple big games here. 17 point. Okay, so he only had 1 point in week 1, but in week 2 he put up 17, and in week 3 he put up 14. That's like a wide receiver 3. That's like a top tier wide receiver 3. It's more like an average wide receiver 2.
Dayball's we're gonna kick the field goal. We're not gonna go for it. We're gonna take the point.
He seems to go for it a lot too, though. He's a gambler, that guy.
I like him. He's a Belichick. Also, I think maybe Shanahan a little bit. He's a hybrid of both.
Okay.
And he's kind of got his own style. So he's not full Belichick tree. So
okay,
he's getting some success for the New York football team.
We were wondering earlier where Devontae Smith was, assuming he was on someone's bench, and sure enough, he was. He was on Kurt's bench.
Damn.
26.9 fantasy points, resulting from 12 targets that earned him 8 catches and 169 yards.
Damn.
Big day.
That's the worst.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Oh, so Pickens only had 3 catches, man. Only 3 for 39. That 1 catch was all we see all week long.
Get that kid in there. Get the rookie quarterback in there, the Pitt guy.
Yeah.
I want to see him. I want to see him throwing balls, winning games, and get the steel curtain back.
Seems to be only a matter of time. Only a matter of time.
Yeah.
So it's Pickett and Pickens. That could be, going forward.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Could be here in Pickett and Pickens.
Picket fences. I love it.
Pick your poison. There's going to be a lot of great marketing slogans that can come from this. But picking to have Devontae Smith on the bench does not kill Team Jones as he defeats Grant and the Laurelhurst Theater 102-78.
Yeah.
And that was the week that was for week 3 in the Laemmle League, Mike D. Week 4, looking ahead real quick, brings me a matchup with Mahomes Country Roads Take Mahomes. So it's a commissioner versus a treasurer, which means the league offices are going to be a chilly place all week long. I see Caitlin in the halls. She shuns me. I try to sit next to her in the cafeteria. She flips my tray of food over. It's an ugly week when Caitlin and I play each other.
I love it.
And you have, who are you playing this
Team
week?
CT.
Okay, you've got her sister. You've got the other Kleppinger.
Yeah, 2-1,
3-0 versus a 2-1. That's a big time matchup right there.
I'm excited. Yeah. I got yeah, this is good. This is good. Will be an interesting, and this is a good time for a reminder. 6 a.m. start time for the Vikings and Saints. So wake up at set your clock at 5:45 a.m.
Yes, get ready to see a lot of Fox broadcasters doing horrible British accents.
Yeah, yes.
And, yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, that's actually there's a lot of fantasy implications in that game, Vikings and Saints. We'll see if Chris Olave continues to develop into the big time guy. If Dalvin Cook plays, if he doesn't, is it going to be it'll be the Alexander Madison show?
Yeah, Thomas is out. He's not playing. So
Michael Thomas is out. They've already ruled that.
I believe so. I believe that is correct.
See if Landry plays, but if not, because someone's got to be there to catch it. Jameis is going to throw it.
Yeah,
so someone's got to be there to catch it, man.
And I wake up, I watch those games. I love.
I love them, dude.
Yeah,
I really
I'll wake up early, get my morning cocktail going.
Yeah, I'm an early morning guy anyway. So usually on a Sunday, I'm up by that time, and I like to play a little basketball in the morning on Sundays. Nice. I won't be playing before that 6 a.m. game, but I think I'll be awake for it, man. I look forward to it. I almost like it incentivizes me to play one of those guys, one of the guys, one of the teams, just because it gives me, I want a reason to watch the game,
Just get them out of your flex spot, and then there could be implications. I believe with the Tampa Bay game is looking like it might be moved to Minnesota.
Is that what they're talking about now?
Just going to Minnesota? Minnesota would be, since they're out of town or they're across the pond. It's looking bad for the Hurricanes. So I think I think they'll be in Minnesota. So you got to think about, they're taking their loved ones, so they're not worrying about them being back home. So there's probably a lot. You never know those games how they end up when you're playing a neutral site. It always seems to be the Saints or the Bucks. Obviously, Hurricanes are in Miami, or the Dolphins. But those are the games that are affected. You got 6 a.m. You got Hurricanes, and you got Thursday night Tua.
It's the NFL, baby. It's wild. We love it.
Yes.
Mikey, thank you once again for having me.
You got it. And we'll do it again next Wednesday. And I'll say the last word is rest in peace, Coolio, and we'll see you around.
I didn't even
Coolio
know that.
passed away this afternoon. Yeah, at a friend's house. They think it's a heart attack.
We can only hope he's already somewhere in a gangster's paradise.
Exactly. I will be raising drinking to Gangsters in Paradise and some Coolio.
Thank you, Mike D.
You got it. See you next week.
See ya.